what's going on? You are listening to ThisWeekInGeek.net, the prototype. And I am one of your hosts, Mike the Birdman. And welcome back from summer vacation, kids, because guess what? The games are coming. You can't stop them. They can't be bargained with. They can't be reasoned with. But you can trade in something at GameStop to potentially get them for a couple of dollars off if you are willing to be surrounded by Funkos for 5 minutes. And as I mentioned...
And if GameStop still exists in your area.
Yeah, exactly. And if GameStop still exists. So that is my co-host, my brother, my best friend from the lovely city of Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Alex, the producer here.
And of course, from the lovely Garden States, we are joined by the host of this anime.
It's Ken Reels.
All right, guys. So we have a lot to talk about today. Gamescom has just more or less wrapped up, and I actually have a press briefing related to Gamescom from a company that's going to send us some pretty cool hardware later on. So we've got a lot to cover and not a lot of time to talk about it. And Gamescom, for me, is I kind of care. I kind of don't. I keep an eye on my Twitter, and I listen to whatever Ken and Alex say. Mike, what do you give a shit about? And this year, my initial thoughts, there's a couple things in here that are kind of cool. Although, to give you guys a little bit of insight into what my most anticipated game of the year is, and I'm going to guess you know what it is. I've been watching the Twitter account for Marvel vs. Capcom, waiting for a fucking release date, and I still haven't got it yet, but they keep teasing me.
No, it's November.
Not officially. It's never been officially dated yet.
Fine.
Retailer leaks are different. I hope it's true. I was hoping for a surprise drop during, Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show, but
it'll
they're
be
going to put it
Tokyo
at
Game
holiday.
Show this week. It'll be Tokyo Game Show this weekend as of this recording, or technically TGS is next weekend. But
is it already next weekend? Sometimes it's been later than that.
All these events just blur together. So
because the Death Stranding's on the 29th.
Unless Nintendo jumps in randomly with another partner showcase.
Surprise Direct.
Which is, there's always rumors, but there is some talk that they might do not necessarily a full Nintendo Direct until they're ready to show off the new system, but that they might do a partner Direct for the fall.
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll probably see something before Jeff's extravaganza, I'm going to guess. Which really wouldn't kind of surprise me. But fortunately, Alex has given us a lot of notes for us to take a look at here. And there were some cool things that I saw. I'm not going to say it was complete trash. I did watch a trailer last night, and we'll kind of get to it. Have you guys had a chance to watch the trailer that I sent, or should I just talk about it?
I was going to say, just to get it out of the way first, on the beginning of the month, there was the THQ Nordic digital showcase, the sort of the last trail end of Summer Game Fest. In previous years, they had taken place around the same time, and we know that the turmoil that they've been put in because of their parent Embracer just being complete crap. They put on their own event, but they weren't going to be a part of Gamescom, but they also weren't going to be a part of Summer Game Fest. They were going to be their own thing, and it was mostly a nothing burger, except they showcased just quickly the eternal life of Goldman. That is you didn't see the trailer, Mike, but Rayman Legends and Rayman, what was the other one? Like that, hand-drawn platformer, looks really pretty, looks like it could be fun, indie sort of game from them. That was a bit of a surprise. They've showed off more of Epic Mickey Rebrushed, which has a date now, September 24th. That looks to be their biggest game of the year, which is interesting that the biggest game from one of the biggest publishers in the world is a remake of mostly of a remake of a game from 15 years ago. Wreckfest 2
I actually went to the launch party for that, and I actually met Disney artists for that. They actually did me a picture of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, but weird sidebar, they wouldn't draw DuckTales or Darkwing Duck for me. The artists were only instructed that they could draw 10 or 15 different things, and you couldn't ask for weird stuff, which I found that kind of disappointing because I wanted Darkwing Duck or Max from a Goofy movie. And they're like, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm like, that is okay. Weird. Yeah, that's a weird flex, but all right.
That was probably around the time they shut down Disney Toon Studios that did all that stuff.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't personal. I was like, "Fuck you, Maxim Goof Troop." I'm like,
and Disney Interactive was weird. Was weird in that they were kind of siloed, where they were like, "We're only going to discuss or show or do art for things that we have a current game release for." It's one of those bullshit sort of things too. They showed off Wreckfest 2. Wreckfest was one of the more fun games from their library. It's the same studio that did the old Flat Out games on like the PS3. You know, like the crazy racing derby type stuff. Cool. Gothic, the remake that they've been talking about for a while and shown off, saying that it has, it's coming out on all these consoles. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because like a few days earlier, it was announced they shut the studio down. So I don't know what the hell's happening with the Gothic one. And then the only other thing that they showed was Tarsier Studios. That is the studio that made Little Nightmares 1 and 2 for Namco. And then they are no longer making it for Namco.
They basically said, we want to do our own thing, but we still want to make pretty much the same game. So their game is essentially Little Nightmares 3.
But not Little Nightmares 3, because Little Nightmares 3 is being made by somebody else, which they did also showcase. And it's like, these games aren't for me. These games aren't for a lot of people. These games
look exact. And the funny thing is, they look exactly the same.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. The trailer was announced with a talking, like, deformed zombie pig. And it was like, cool, what the hell is this going to be? And then the art in the game looks nothing like it. And I was like, oh no. And then it ended with a tease for either a sequel or a remake of Darksiders. And then
that's kind of neat, I guess.
With the hint that they said more to come later this summer, or later this year, and then they had nothing to show for it at Gamescom at all. So it's like, I'm going
to say that it's probably Darksiders 4, because the whole plan was to do the 3 horsemen and then go into like a game where all 3 of them are together.
Yeah, it was like a fourth. There was going to be a 4th horseman that ties them together or something, right?
Yeah.
And so that's probably going to be something that's showcased at the Game Awards or something. They'll have another tease. But that was that, and then fast forward a couple weeks, and now we're into actual opening night live and stuff. But yeah, Mike, you can go off. They had a few things that were not shown at opening night live that were shown after. I've only got a couple notes here, but you've got one big one that you're psyched for, right?
Yeah, so this game I am unbelievably excited for. I've already been in contact with the people over there. Actually, just to kind of break it down for you guys, and this will show the kind of cool relationships that I have with like certain people. When I saw this property announced earlier this year, I was unbelievably excited. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. So I got that game and I was like, all right, awesome. I love MechWarrior, cool. And then they announced MechWarrior 5 Clans. The clan era of MechWarrior is my favorite in BattleTech, period. We have a friend who works on the franchise. He doesn't like the clans from a different perspective, but that's neither here nor there. The clans is what got me into the BattleTech franchise. So when I saw the trailer earlier this year, unbelievably excited. When I saw there was a Gamescom trailer, I was like, all right, cool. Maybe we'll get some new footage. We'll get some more idea into what it is. Oh, wow. I am so psyched to play this. And it was neat because the Gamescom trailer showed more parts of gameplay, what the mech lab looks like. Because one of the things I used to do with MechWarrior 3 is I could field test the mechs in that game for the role-playing game. Like, I could literally bring that mech into the role-playing game or into the tabletop minis game, and the stats would be one-to-one accurate. So I could field test stuff. And just majorly excited for this. So what they showed for MechWarrior 5 Clans was that you take the perspective of a Smoke Jaguar clan person. I guess they're like a commander of like a star or something. I'm gonna be using a lot of lore terms here. And it's the invasion of the inner sphere, from what I can tell. And it's amazing because Smoke Jaguar does not have a very happy ending if you follow the lore. And it's just neat to know that you're playing as this major part, because everybody would expect you to play as like Clan Wolf or Jade Falcon or Wolf's Dragoons or you know, some kind of clanner bullshit. And just to see that you can do so much different stuff. There's like even what looks like an RTS game in there somehow. So I guess you can send forces across the map and like other things. I haven't done a deep dive into the gameplay for it, but it looks fucking awesome. This thing comes out on October 3rd, and I could not be more thrilled for this. Like, holy shit.
Consoles in addition to PC?
Yeah, oh yeah. I am going to be playing this on PlayStation 5, and I'm fucking hyped. Like, so much so. And MechWarrior games, I've always felt, are hard to port to consoles because mech games are complicated as shit. This one really, it is and it isn't, if that makes any kind of sense. But no, the controls, because I play MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries on PlayStation 5, and it works remarkably well. I don't feel hung up on menus. So to see they've kind of redesigned parts of the UI, if it's going to be more user-friendly, I am there for it. So that is awesome. Anyway, cool. That is enough from me ranting. You guys talk for about like a minute.
I'll say outside of that, day 1 and day 2 of Gamescom have been finished already. Not a whole lot new unless you count stuff that we don't really care about. And by that, I mean like all the mobile stuff, there's a lot of announcements of like expansions and characters and things for live service games and stuff that, you know, if you're into that, you already know it. You're probably already getting inundated with messages for it.
Yeah, all the Hoyoverse stuff, because there's 3 games now, and they all. And what's more insidious with how the Hoyoverse updates work?
What the hell's a Hoyoverse?
That's the company.
Genshin, ZZZ, and
the company is Hoyo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It looks cool. That's all I can say about it. I don't know much about it.
It's gotcha bullshit.
The issue is it's
that term that Alex I just have to say that's a term that you use, Alex, and my eyes kind of glaze over. I'm like, I know he doesn't like it, but I don't know what he means. Now I do.
Gotcha is literally, it means like
gambling or whatever.
Yes, but also like gotcha stuff is like putting your money into a claw game. And then, where
that's not fun.
You put like $700 to end up finally winning a $10 item.
That's so lame. That's so.
It's also the issue with the gacha games and Hoyoverse and Chinese RPGs and everything is they're written so horribly. The plots are nonsensical. They're either overly sappy or overly just about fan service, and yet the group of people that they capture only play those types of games, so they think they're amazing. And yet if you tried to give them a proper narrative game, they'll say things like, it doesn't pull me in as well. And it's like, well, because there's something wrong with your brain. I think that people, hot take, I think people that only play gacha games have rewired their brain chemistry to not understand things properly.
I will say, I'm not going to lie, some of the Genshin Impact stuff I have seen previously, because when I reviewed some stuff for G Fuel, they had like a flavor based on Genshin Impact. And I'm like, you know what? This looks kind of interesting, but not so much so I would invest into it.
They make so much money, but the good news is they put the money and actually put it into the game.
Yes. They usually have good graphics. They usually have good gameplay. They always have terrible stories.
Their writing is atrocious.
Which is unfortunate.
It's the worst anime bullshit.
Like, or they'll have a rich lore with lots of things happening, but none of them make any logical sense. Or
of course not.
Or they require that you don't use your brain ever, and you just are happy to be along for the ride. And it's
the company that they use for the VO is being stricken by SAG.
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess they're non-union. I'm gonna guess.
No, they're stealing voices and using AI to replace people.
Oh wow, that's fucking terrible.
And their response to that is, "No, we're not."
It's
and
not.
They're Chinese funded.
No. What the whole SAG strike? Just to go on a small little tangent before we continue, the whole SAG strike is basically the negotiations went, all right, we want to put the whole compensate us if you're using our voices for AI in writing. And they refused to put that in writing.
that's
literally the whole reason they're on strike is because they both agreed that they should be compensated, but the companies refused to put it in writing.
And then you have the fact that a Chinese company won't honor it anyway because they don't care.
Yeah, it's just
so the fact that they won't...
it was just like trust us. We want it in writing.
Well, and the fact that they don't care, everybody knows that China doesn't care, but the fact that they don't care and still refuse to even write it means that they are purposely not going to pay them. Like they're bold-faced. There's a difference between Chinese companies lying and bold-faced lying, and they were bold-faced lying. So
exactly,
it's a whole thing. Whatever. I think it's interesting. I think that the only important thing that Hoyoverse games do, and it's called Hoyoverse because Hoyo is the company, and all of the games that they have are different. One's like a sci-fi game, one's a fantasy game, but they're also apparently taking place in the same universe.
Yeah.
The one thing that they end up doing is they inject a lot of money into allowing things like Jeff to run the shows because like they've run like 10 or 20 million dollars worth of ads in his shows each year. So is like basically paid
and they
for
also
by them.
make like they make billions of dollars a day.
Yeah, like it's after taking into account because they have a high expense because they do have a lot of players. There's like we're talking about probably $1 billion every month or two in pure profit worldwide, but most of it is in the Chinese market. The vast majority of it, it's like it's insidious on itself. But regardless, beyond that, Gamescom Day 3 stuff, it's happening as we speak, but there hasn't been anything major, or we would have had emails popping off with press releases. The few things that were shown that might be of interest from Day 1 and Day 2 of the roundup outside of the opening night live stuff was they had a date for Atomfall. That was the game that was announced at the Xbox thing they did.
Yes. That was Xbox a while ago.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. Well, they re-showed it at Xbox a couple months ago, but it was at a showcase like a year or two ago.
That's the one that's like the Russians-looking Fallout game. It has a date now for March of 2025. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl, got a demo, but it also didn't it get pushed back till October from the September release?
It got. I forget when Stalker 2. It recently got pushed again.
Yeah, it was pushed by like a month at least, but it's still technically supposed to be coming out this fall.
It was just like it was clearly just it failed certification push.
Well, for certification or crowded September push. And the other two things that were shown was Mars Attracts, which is a like theme park builder / roller coaster tycoon type game based entirely around the Mars Attacks property.
Yeah.
So cool.
That is one weird. Well, that is a really weird IP to build that around. That is
so like you're
to be a fly on the wall in that pitch meeting.
So like you're building your park, and then instead of like just having people die in stupid ways, the deaths are all Mars Attacks based.
Okay, sure. I guess that IP still exists. Sure.
Yeah. The other one was Croak, which is a 2D platformer a la like Super Meat Boy or something. A little like not quite super precision-y, but they're and the most important aspect is it's 2D hand drawn from a lot of the animators that worked on Cuphead and that was announced as an indie title.
Okay, cool.
Not nearly the same budget, but like just a true indie title, but the same artist, which is cool. So getting into the actual,
I'm literally looking at the trailer right now. This is Celeste.
Yeah, it's that sort of style. Just with some seasoned 2D animators, which is cool. So at Opening Night Live, there's a lot of crap that was shown. A lot of crap, not a lot of.
Yeah,
it's like getting it out of the way. It was like a C+, the showcase.
C+, B-.
In the pre-show, there were some interesting things, but the most important thing that was shown was just at the very end. This is more for you, Michael. Is that Terry was shown off with proper gameplay for Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, so I was watching this. I don't know whether Terry's going to be the type of character I'm going to gravitate towards, simply because I need my characters to have a projectile. I like his movements.
Those players.
Oh, I'm a Shoto completely. I am a flowchart Ken. Although I do like Luke. That being said, interesting. I think it looks cool. I think Terry looks weird in the Street Fighter 6 art style. I like his alt costumes with his brown jacket.
That's from
his
character model for the new game.
Good.
Yeah, kind of had a feeling. But yeah, overall, I think it looks cool. I'm glad he's coming soon. And then when they dated the rest of the characters, the fact we don't get Mai and Elena till next year, I think kind of sucks. But with Street Fighter stuff, they always space stuff out huge.
Mai is timed because they also in this showcase they put the date down for the new
City of the Wolves.
Fatal.
Yeah, which is April 24th, I think. So they're trying to space it so that he'll come soon, and then a few months later she's out. And hey guys, guess what? If you liked our game, SNK has theirs coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I guess. Neat. Either way.
Yeah. It's very good cross promotion.
It's a very big deal.
Considering these are the first guest characters in a Street Fighter game.
Yeah, and numbered actual Street Fighter, ever.
Now, if they were to ever bring, because I saw this discussion on Twitter about a month ago before I took my little bit of a break there, people were kind of chit-chatting about, could you bring a Mortal Kombat character over to Street Fighter? And I think you could if you picked certain ones. Johnny Cage, easy. Sonya Blade, easy. If you were to do any of the ninjas, you could get away with Sub-Zero, but not Scorpion. And
you did do Raiden.
It would be
I could see it. Yeah, Raiden could work. I'd want alt skins for him though.
If you're going if you don't want a god, you don't want anything to be because
super OP.
Yeah, if you're doing that,
maybe Liu Kang.
You do Kung Lao.
Kung Lao, I think only because of the hat. They wouldn't do it, but then again, we have Vega who has the stupid claws, and we have Cody with his knife. But
or you just have Striker, and be like, why?
Honestly, you probably could do Striker or Jax. You probably reasonably could.
Yeah.
Oh no, it would be Sonya.
Sonya would make the most sense. Maybe Katana. No way you're getting Melina. Jade, maybe.
What if you had what if they just went and there's the reveal is somebody sitting down eating dinner or whatever, and it's T-Hawk, and then it zooms out and it's what's his name? Was it Nighthawk?
Cho or something?
Who is the native dude from the third game?
Nightwolf. That you know what? You can pull that off.
Nightwolf and T-Hawk are just friends.
That would be kind of cool. I would appreciate that because you know what? I will again. Hot take. I know it'll probably never happen, but in this era of Capcom franchises getting magically resurrected, I demand two things, both of which will never happen. Re-release Tatsunoko versus Capcom. I know licensing.
And re-release the Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
That too. I would love to see that, especially the home version, but cleaned up and re-ported.
Just because
I want to play
with original photographs.
You want Cross Tekken?
Yeah, because that would be yes, that's what I want. I want Street Fighter Cross Tekken brought back because I will say I had a stupid amount of fun with that game. And if you had all the gems were free by the time the game was done anyway, in its 6-7 months of release. just put that in and just, I don't know, maybe it'll make a resurgence. Not going to happen, but that would still be fun, and I would love to see it. I Can Dream, and a banger of an intro song with Black. I think the song was called Honest Eyes by Black Tide. That's one of the best opening songs that franchise has ever fucking had. Sucks it got wasted on a trash game, but whatever.
You probably have a better chance of getting, who is the character they invented for the movie that nobody liked?
Captain Sawada.
Oh, yeah.
You have a better chance of having a new version of him in the game.
Honestly, if they put Captain Sawada as a hidden character for the next Marvel versus Capcom, the internet would lose its fucking mind.
Like
Just
they announce it at Marvel vs. Capcom. At first, it's like announcing the new character, and it's like big hype, and it shows up, and it's Dan. And then as Dan's running in, he's like, "Aha!" He trips and falls, and Sawada just throws him out of the arena, and that's he.
Honestly, that would be such a cool trailer. People would be like, "What?" Like Maximilian dude's head would like explode.
Yeah.
Runs like Dan runs in, haha, trips, falls, and he just like the screen goes black. You're beep beep beep, punch punch. Ow! Wait, who the hell are you? And then it throws him out, and then that's Sawada's there instead.
Oh yeah, that would be sick. Or the Bison Trooper blade. That'd be awesome. Seriously, hook me up. Alex, we know Capcom. We are making a phone call. That would be awesome.
But yeah, so like there's cool a little bit of snippets of fight for fighter fans out there. That's nice. It is cool that they're working so well with SNK, and SNK's sort of on an upswing. Borderlands 4 had a title tease that was at the opening of the show. Whoop-de-doo, no. Yes, they didn't have the crowd mic'd super well, but they purposely didn't do crowd reaction shots because nobody cared.
Well, it's only because the Borderlands movie fucking bombed.
Well, and the third game wasn't well liked. It reviewed okay. It sold very poorly, and so did Tiny Tina. There's not a lot of steam in that franchise.
Yeah, Tiny Tina sold poorly and also ran poorly.
Yeah, and the biggest complaint with Borderlands 3 was, isn't this just more of the same? Like, looter shooters need to have a really good story and narrative, and they've never really had that.
Yeah, Borderlands has not been a story game.
Which is funny, because I found Tiny Tina was such a fun story, looter-driven experience. Like, it was honestly one of my big surprises when we reviewed it.
But it's one of the...
You got lucky. You got lucky that you didn't encounter the stuff that me and Alex encountered.
Yeah, my save is still broken. I can't play, so I'm not going to start over again to do another 10 hours to get back to where I was, only to find I might get stuck again.
Yeah, like I had no glitches during my experience, but that seems to be the thing. Like, I don't know. I've been really lucky with all my playthroughs of games that are usually considered buggy. Like, I know I was one of like 5 people on Earth during the Cyberpunk period. Yeah, I had no glitches. Not a one during my entire playtime. And I put over 100 and something hours into it, and I never encountered one.
I had hard crashes 30 or 40 times to the point where I wanted to pick up my new system and throw it out the window.
I had friggin' hard crashes on PC.
I had hard crashes on the PS5 version 2 years later.
And here's the thing. It's half the fact that it was running on Epic Game Store, and Epic Game Store is a pile of crud. And 2, it's just the game runs poorly.
Yeah, like I will give them one thing. When they have like a PS6 version, it'll probably be fine. Just like how,
hard, like too much powerful hardware that it's just like
you can't crash. We won't let you crash. The AI will fix you. Whereas Control, the final Ultimate Edition of that on what is now current gen, runs like butter, perfect smooth, and it already was mostly fine. But like that sort of stuff, like you see certain games that were just a little too much for the previous gen, and they work just fine finally on current. I feel like that's what it's going to be like for Cyberpunk with like the PS5 Pro sort of thing. It'll just brute force its way through any issues with extra RAM and all that. Anyway, beyond that, they showed off a like 8-minute video for Call of Duty.
Which looks interesting, but kind of weird. Like, I was wondering, like, is this a COD game? I couldn't tell from the UI. And then fucking Adler shows up. Like, all right, cool, I'm in.
Well, and it's like it's showing you there's some things you do that are different. Like it's a little bit more immersive simmy for certain aspects.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also just the movement, just like absolutely opens the door for.
Yeah, like
It feels like a completely different game.
like an explosion hits you and you jump back and you land on your butt with your legs in front, but you can still shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a reverse kind of dolphin dive, which is that's interesting. I mean, I'd like to see how this is going to change the meta for competitive play. But yeah,
I mean, we'll see it. We'll see in a week because that's
Yeah,
when the
'cause-
beta is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beyond that, Goat Simulator Remastered was announced, and that's the one that had the trailer.
What an awesome trailer that was!
Where it was all the horrible glitches and it was making fun of every remastered edition that has come out from a cheap company like themselves that have fucked up everything. Like you saw the rain from the GTA
Grand Theft
trilogy.
Auto. Yeah.
You saw how and then making fun of how many times Skyrim was released.
That was funny. That was such a
looping.
gag.
It's not, people were like, "Wait, that's not a glitch." It's like, no, it's not a glitch. That was a reference to the fact that it kept going in the loop because it's just the same game released 30 million times. And then there were like other ones, like I think the police officers looked like they were from. One of them looked like it was from SWAT, like one of the SWAT games.
Yeah.
And one of them looked like it was from, I think Half-Life 1, maybe.
And like the environment, the environment's just a literal like the whole setup is literally a reference to the Arkham trilogy remakes.
So I mean that was cool. And then Goat Simulator, it's like okay, great, but does anybody really need a remake of that? It's only like it's not like 5 years old or like
it's basically it's basically they took the first game and put it in 4's engine, I think.
Yeah, and isn't that the series where there isn't a second game? It went 1, 3, 4.
Yes,
because they thought it would be funny.
That's the joke.
Beyond that, Persona 3 Reload got the DLC, the Answer trailer, which that's the game that's the extra mode that was included with the FES edition initially back on PS2, and it's got a full expansion here, and then we found out that Persona 5 is having a crossover with it. They already had announced and released DLC where you got music that you could play within the game, where you could select
and
Persona
also
5
there's
music.
Definitely not having.
And there's also secret bosses. One of the secret bosses is you, who's the lead of Persona 4.
That's
game.
right.
That's already in Reload.
So how does this work in from
DLC
a story perspective? Like just for the
it's
ignorant
just a
fucker in the
secret
room.
boss.
So
It's a secret boss.
Yeah, that's just going to be like they'll probably
Gilgamesh, but for Persona, right?
Yeah, they'll work in something in Persona 3 Reload. There's
time travel or something
within Tartarus. There's within Tartarus certain levels you can find keys to then go into another secret, like even more subterranean thing. And when you go into that, when you go into the subterranean levels, you end up fighting a super mid boss and then a secret boss. And when you beat them, you get a really cool item, or you get an item that is related to lore that will unlock, background stuff for you.
There are two secret bosses in Reload. One is the fight with you. The other is a standard secret boss fight for every Persona game. If you know, you know.
Cool. Yeah. Like in general, usually you end up fighting somebody from the Velvet Room.
Yes.
Oh, cool. So you might fight like Igor or the twins, right?
Well, the twins are not in every game.
Oh, right. That's right. Lavenza, or whatever her name is.
You will
Lavenza,
fight somebody of that stature.
Oh, cool.
And that's usually hard beyond compare. Usually.
It's stupid. It's a stupid fight, and you have to literally build a team based on that fight.
Yeah, it's one of those, and then you get your crazy achievement. Well, there's probably going to be like another room that you find.
There's just an extra there's just an extra added bit to that section,
and that's where you'll fight Joker. And the answer is a part that takes place after the main game. It jumps forward in time and wraps it up in a similar aspect to like a much smaller version of what we got with Persona 5 Strikers, where it's like a semi sequel. So there's that. Dying Light. I didn't put the trailer in for your collection, Mike, but Dying Light has a new game.
That's cool. I'm in.
Called the Beast. It's a 20-hour single-player campaign set in the universe of the first game. I don't know the difference between the first and the second game.
I do, and that's kind of exciting to go back as like Kyle Crane. That's cool. I'm into that.
Yeah, so that's cool. Then they showed us something called Linked, which I don't think I included the trailer for either, and that is, it's a game. It's a roguelike game from a new studio, but the art looks like Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay, cool. I'm in.
Cool. Lost Records Bloom and Rage, which was the new game in the classic style of Don't Nods games. It looks like they're trying to go like, hey, we can't do Life is Strange, but we're going to do
Jason.
Well, we're going to try to make it similar, but we're also like Stranger Things, so we're going to make something like that.
It looked really cool. This actually really caught my attention. I was like, oh, it's a dating simulator, and then it's so not.
It's not. It's that simulator style, but what they've done is they've gone back to making it episodic, which I don't think really worked back in the day the way that companies wanted it to. But it hasn't been announced for PS Plus or for Game Pass yet. But
wasn't it?
Nope.
Game Pass? I could have sworn it was.
The one that's Game Pass is that other one where it's like the
other one. Right. It's the sequel for Life is Strange. Right.
Yeah, I think that's how it's working. Either way, this February 18th and then coming in March with the second chapter. Multi-chapter releases, I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in December or January they announce, hey, if not the whole thing, chapter 1 might be available on one of these platforms to play, and that could hook you in, because how else are you going to start getting people to subscribe for multiple months in a year when, especially like Xbox, when they don't really have much coming out that's worthwhile? So you could do this episodic content. Beyond that, Arc Raiders got a fall playtest. That's the game that they announced 4 years ago now during the pandemic. That is the game that's like a collaborative shooter online thing where you're going against like robots from space. Looks like box art from the Atari games in the 70s, but like in hyper realistic mode. That's the game made by all the devs from DICE that quit when they couldn't stand working for EA. So I guess if you've liked Battlefield, that's Battlefield. Path of Exile 2 got a November 15th release date. For people that are super into that, they're probably super happy. We already talked about Fatal Fury. Civ 7 had a gameplay reveal, plus there was a showcase after ONL. I didn't watch it. I don't even know if Civ needs to be shown off. People just know they want it, or they know they don't.
I do want to talk about...
They also announced who the narrator is going to be, and it's Gwen Christie, a.k.a. Brianna Tarth.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Cool. I do want to talk about Fatal Fury for like a quick 30 seconds.
Yeah.
This is a franchise I'm kind of surprised is making kind of a comeback. And it's not like the Fatal Fury and the King of Fighters games have been, not well received in the past. Some of them more so than others. I think it's cool that this franchise is coming back. Yeah. I like how they acknowledge the history of Mai. Like, here's all the different costumes she's had. Here's how her look throughout the years. I mean, she is one of the sexy ladies of fighting games, even if you don't immediately kind of recognize her. Again, cool. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we'll get a review copy when this drops on April 24th, but looks neat.
I'm surprised mostly that it's the first full 3D game they've done, right? Because I think that they've done some SNK stuff before, but this is much closer to what Capcom style.
This is the first Fatal Fury that's full 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know KOF did at least one or two, but
yeah, KOF went 3D a while ago.
Yeah,
yeah, But what also struck me is because I don't really follow them, but is this the first time where they've shown off the games and every trailer has been completely voiced in English?
That wouldn't surprise me, actually.
For their like, usually you'll have like in King of Fighters and SNK games, a couple of the characters might have English, or they might have done things where it's like whatever country that they're supposed to be from, they speak that language. I know that they've done that for some games where it's like a German character speaks German, an English character speaks English, and Japanese. It seems like every character been revealed is going to have multiple voice tracks.
I mean, that would make sense. But also, just as a note, they did announce with Terry when he goes to SF, they showed off when you have the Japanese voice on, he has his English.
Oh, he has the Japanese English.
He has the Japanese English when you
Let's
play
go.
the Japanese track.
That's awesome.
When you have the Japanese track.
That'll make one of my friends in the fighting game community really happy.
That's fun. I think the biggest thing that they showed at this entire showcase was the reveal of Secret Level. That is the Tim Miller directed television show that has been in the works for at least 3 years. The trailer that I sent you, Mike, was just the trailer for the show, but his presentation, he was crying. He was so excited to finally reveal it and how hard it was to make over the course, like 3 years in the making. Did you end up seeing Love and Robots, the Netflix show that they did that was like sci-fi anthologies?
I heard about it, but I never did watch it. No,
it was really good. It's super ridiculously high budget. This is like the showcase of every studio, like, look what we can do sort of stuff. And there's going to be a Mega Man episode. There's going to be
Warrior,
D&D, a whole bunch of
Armored Core.
Armored Core is starring Keanu Reeves.
Was I mistaken? Did I see a Concord one in there?
Yes.
Yes.
What a waste. What a waste.
There's also one based on multiple PlayStation properties interacting together.
So like PlayStation All-Stars?
Yes. They showed Kratos for that one.
I thought so. I was like,
Kratos. Here's the thing: if you look at the actual shot of Kratos, he's in the real world. He's in modern day.
Yeah, it looks like PlayStation characters come to life. It's one of those things. And you've got Pac-Man, a bunch of other stuff. Exodus, that's the game that is being made by the former BioWare devs that were poached. Basically, everybody that worked on Mass Effect 2 and Star Wars: The Old Republic.
The people that made the games that everyone remembers BioWare for.
that they all really liked. Everybody but Casey Hudson and what's the other guy that wrote one of the books? Everybody but
Mac Walters or whatever.
Everybody
except
those two.
Everybody except that. Yeah, exactly.
Are working for Hasbro now, making that game. It's the one that was revealed a year ago, or I guess at the Game Awards, that looks like Mass Effect, where it's about time dilation. So you have your team like Mass Effect team, and to travel to planets and do your missions, you have to go into hyperspace. But in doing so, by the time you get there and back, people might be dead or aged, because you don't age, but the world around you does. And the events and things that you do will ripple effect. So the first real big reveal from that game series is going to be what appears to be maybe a prequel or a setup for the game as an episode of that TV show. And it's all the people that made the cinematics for Mass Effect 2 and 3 making it.
So what is the pitch for this show? Is it just like, hey, here's a random 30-minute episode from this world?
Twilight Zone anthology of old and new games.
Because I'm kind of looking through this list. There's a couple in here I think is cool. I think Warhammer 40K, because I don't think that Amazon series with Henry Cavill is ever going to happen. Outer Worlds.
Oh no, cool, it's in the works. Trust me, Henry has been very vocal.
Until I see a trailer, it don't exist.
It's in It's in pre-production. It's not going to get shooting until maybe end of next year at best.
Unreal Tournament, that's a pretty cool dive there. Sifu is a really cool pick. I'll totally own that one. Pac-Man, okay, sure. Mega Man, that'll be cool because the last time we got, I think it was a show called Mega Man Powered Up, and I liked it actually for kind of what it was, and I'm a terrible person for that.
Well,
D&D,
it's
cool.
also just like, yeah. Also with Mega Man, it's just like, we'll take anything.
Yeah, I mean, D&D. We'll see if that Paramount show ever fucking happens. Concord, what a fucking waste. What a fucking waste. Now, honestly, I would have done. Again, I'm going to show my fanboys. I mean, if they could have found a way to do Overwatch here, that would have been huge.
If you had swapped out Concord with Helldivers.
Helldivers, or maybe, you know what? Here's my dark horse pick for that. You could have done Destiny here and had some fun with it.
Destiny is already a part of it. It's part of the PlayStation 1.
Oh, really? Okay, all right. Why not?
They did say that Destiny will be a part of it, but they didn't say which episode, and it wasn't listed, meaning it's going to be part of that PlayStation All-Stars type thing.
Okay, which means we'll probably see like someone or like a ghost or something. All right, whatever. Armored Core, interesting pick. Not opposed to it.
Still
you
crazy
know what? Most of these are okay.
Keanu Reeves in an Armored Core is weird.
I'm not surprised because you know what? That guy's a dork and I'm here for it. Actually, weird bit of trivia about Keanu Reeves that literally happened today and only really matters if you're Canadian. He signed a 1-day contract with the Ontario Hockey League for the Windsor Spitfires. And one day. No, it's basically so you can get his jersey and his contract, and they're going to auction off it for like kind of charity. But that's really funny.
That's nice.
So that's cool. I mean, ultimately, I think this will be very interesting. I'll be very curious to see how it proceeds. If the series is successful, there's so many video game franchises you could pick from that could do so many cool things. You know what? I'm here for it. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And I was very surprised by this.
And if it does well, more seasons, obviously.
Yeah. Also, good way to have spend all Amazon's infinite money.
Well, yeah. And then Amazon is going to be like, hey, you like these? You can buy these games from us. Or, by the way, they can then...
Here's our Luna service that people forget exists.
Or they'll look at stuff that isn't, obviously isn't Sony. But if they look at stuff and they go, hey... what properties can we just, purchase and make into our own things afterwards? I'm pretty sure if they wanted to buy Atari, they could just buy Atari at any moment. Pac-Man is, I think, it doesn't.
Pac-Man's Namco.
Yeah, but that's what I'm just thinking. Like Pac-Man is there. It's so odd. Like I'm surprised that they didn't just go, like. Let's make a Pitfall Harry one and contact Activision. Let's get a
Galaga or Dig Dug or some bullshit.
A Defender one or something.
I think because they have the Sony one, they decided not to talk to Microsoft.
Yeah, well, and I mean they've already got Fallout, right? So
yeah,
they don't need it. Because if they were going to do if it's really successful and they do get a second season, is the Halo brand too tainted by now, or would you do Gears?
Gears would definitely be something
Gears would
do. I mean,
Gears would probably be the better choice because the new game's coming.
If they want to do something with Halo, don't do Spartans, do ODSTs. Yeah, and that would get people interested again in the franchise.
Because I'll tell you right now, nobody wants to see a Starfield. People would probably want to see an Elder Scrolls one.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think people would much more rather see Diablo than anything. Because they're
Diablo could be really cool.
Like if they were like, hey, by the way, here's it's $9 million, make us a 30-minute video, and Blizzard would be like, yes, okay, we can do that.
Yeah. Given how beautiful that trailer was for the expansion for 4, just like, shoot.
Contact Square Enix next time and be like, hey, give us a Final Fantasy based one. Give it, or no, you want to wow people.
Mm-hmm.
You have for season 2, not even Final Fantasy. Give us a Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you know what they could do?
Just give us a frog story, a story about frog.
Is that
That'd be nice.
Horizon Zero Dawn series dead?
No, it's
from like kind of Netflix.
No.
Okay.
It's not dead, but I think someone left the project. I think, if I remember correctly.
And I believe the God of War is it finished shooting?
Infamous. You could do Infamous or Prototype.
Ooh, yeah.
And if you're looking for something like spectacular, or people are always thinking of those big titles like that, but like Sly Cooper would work.
Sly Cooper could be such a fun little heist
given the
episode.
fact that the movie didn't get off the ground because Ratchet and Clank bombed.
Yeah, like you could do that, or
Crash Bandicoot.
There's multiple ways.
Nice.
You could get something from FromSoft. You get a Souls.
Get it? Oh, another.
Ooh, a Dark Souls
they have
thing?
the connection. That would be cool. That'd be cool.
Elden Ring.
I'd be up for that.
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Like, I mean, obviously, you're not going to get Sega's not going to do Sonic because it's they've got their own movies, and I don't know how much like true anime type stuff would translate like a Persona because they've already got their own stuff there. But
yeah,
you're not going to get Nintendo, or if you do, it wouldn't be for a major Nintendo property.
Star Fox.
Star Fox would be the only one.
That would be Star Fox. Yeah, Star Fox would be the only one, or F-Zero.
Yeah.
A racing thing with Captain Falcon could be really cool.
Yeah, think with like hyper realistic graphics.
Yeah, I'd be so down.
So I mean, beyond that, it'll be interesting. December 10th. They haven't said if they're dropping every episode at once or if they're going to do a weekly thing.
They'll do weekly, guaranteed. But
they'll do.
We have a connection. But we've got a connection to Amazon, so yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So beyond that, like I say this, they showed Indiana Jones, December 9th release date. Big surprise that was already leaked earlier is that it's coming to PlayStation because it's not technically a first party game, even though it is a first party game, and also they need monies, so that's coming in the spring. And let's be honest. If you want to play Indiana Jones right away, it'll be part of Game Pass in December 9th, and it will probably be buggy and have problems. Or you can wait until spring of 2025 when it releases on PlayStation and all the bugs have been worked out.
Yeah, like I am weirdly curious about this. I will say I did put in a request for this, and it's mostly because I think the collector's edition's kind of fun because you don't see a lot of physical memorabilia for the Indiana Jones franchise. And I know I say that as toy aisles are currently filled with Indiana Jones toys that are very quickly going on clearance. I don't know. I want this to be playable. I like the Indiana Jones IP, get me wrong, but when we talked about this during Summer Games Fest, I was like, I don't see why this needs to be the format that it's in. Like I want to
the
like
only
this.
reason why it's the format that it is one, the studio that's making it, that's their bread and butter, and two, they don't want the Uncharted comparison.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So beyond that, the Masters of
the
Albion was shown off, which was Peter Molyneux back. Like, why do they let him talk or make games or be in person or trusted?
Like the game looks like Black and White 3, basically.
It looks 20 years old.
Exactly. That's what I said. Black and White 3.
Small team. I thought he was in jail, like actually in jail for, was it tax fraud or evasion or investor mismanagement of money or something?
I don't know.
Don't quote me on him. But I was pretty sure he was indicted for crimes, for financial crimes.
I just thought he quietly retired. That's kind of what I figured after the Fable thing kind of went nowhere.
I know he's been working for a while because they NoClip recently did a Black and White doc like a couple months ago.
Can I make a
And
really
he was
flippant
part of
comment on this? Who
Yep.
signs his paychecks? I'm just curious because he
know.
does all this work, but what do you actually do? I'm just saying.
Well,
He's got a lot of Chinese investment.
Why am I not surprised?
behind
he,
him.
I think he got into like crypto or something for a while.
Yeah, he got into
Dogecoin.
crypto for a while.
Awesome.
Like he
Him and Elon Musk are buddies, probably.
there was something odd. Like
There was something weird.
it was
happened with him.
something about like he designed a bunch of mobile games that were tied to some gambling currency or something. There was something he was being investigated for, not just for his boldface lying, not about like here's what our like he would boldface say this is what our game does, and then it wouldn't do it, and then he would lie and say I never said that, even though there's video of it. And so nobody could trust him anymore, and then he would throw everybody else under the bus, and he's just a snake oil salesman.
He's not the kind of person. He is the video games equivalent of a snake oil salesman.
And decent, like in his career, like there are people that love the Fable games, but realistically, he has 2 actual good games: Black and White and Fable 2.
Yep.
And beyond that, they're all either expansions or takes on that, or games that didn't come to fruition. Each game had a bold-faced lie involved with it. The only game he didn't lie about was Black and White, his first one, right? So, I mean, and before that, he did, Populous and all this other stuff, and those were good games for the era. It was a lot harder to lie about those games because they just did what they did. But he was a big hype man. So who knows? And he's coming out showing this game, and the game looks like shit.
It looks bad.
It
looks like 10 years too late.
Yeah, 10, 15 years too late. Of you build your little town with your god powers, and it's like, oh, you can drop things and they'll break, or you can hurt the people. Ha 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 ha. And that'll be it. Beyond that, you then can go into like the mode where you defend with your character, and the graphics look poor. I have no idea how he had the kind of money to spend that much time to be on screen for Jeff's thing. There is no way Jeff actually likes that game and wants to play that game. But it was painful. You could hear the people in the audience when he announced him to come up and he like gave him the hug and all this. People were like, Jeff, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why would you have that guy on stage?
Again, Chinese money, man.
Yeah. So beyond that, the last thing that they showed after Indiana Jones was they revealed Mafia 4, or now known as Mafia: The Old Country, which is going to be, they had the Mafia trilogy come out previously, and they've released it multiple times on different consoles. I suspect before that game comes out, there'll be a current gen remaster again, probably of the trilogy, or at least a re-release.
There'll just be an update.
An
There'll just be an update to the version.
For 4K 60 on everything or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
It was just shown, and it's going to be a Mafia game taking place at the foundation of the original Mafia in the early 1900s in Sicily. That should be fun. I know it's one of those, like, as far as a 2K branded game that isn't something from Rockstar, you basically have 2 franchises that are well-liked, that are AAA games, but people forget are AAA. It's the Mafia series and BioShock, and we didn't see BioShock 4, even though it's been in development for like 6 years. So they had to show something from 2K other than that, because what else is there other than sports? So that was nice, and that's pretty much it. So that's why, C+, interesting things. It's telling when the most interesting thing shown at your 2-hour showcase for games in Europe is a television show.
Yeah, I mean, out of the entire thing I saw from Gamescom, from the highlights you sent me, but what I did with my own independent research, Street Fighter, Mech Warrior, the games thing, Mafia's kind of on my radar, and Dying Light was unexpected for me, and everything else, all right, cool, I guess, sure. I mean, COD's going to be fun regardless, so I always look forward to that. I mean, I'm a fanboy, what can I say?
I like the single player.
Yeah,
but I love the multiplayer.
And like also some of the stuff that we didn't cover that was at game opening night, it was just it's stuff that's a year out anyway. So why the hell bother talking?
Yeah,
about it?
or like if you're just going to show a new character, but we have no date, or
Yeah, you're not
90% of what
dating
you're
it.
90% of what you show we already know, then I don't care. We weren't going to bother.
Yeah.
I might say Epic Mickey is interesting, but that's all I can really say about it. I mean, the games were fine. I mean, they weren't anything totally
Well,
revolutionary,
there's nothing
but they were
new.
cool. Yeah, it's just like,
I don't
Well,
believe
cool.
that they're adding new
The-
gameplay.
Like, the only thing about Epic Mickey that hopefully is fixed is the terrible camera.
Yeah. If there's
That's
small
all.
quality
That's
of
all we
life
want.
improvements, yeah, that's fine with me. It's just like if you're gonna re-release old Disney games, they did a really good streak there because there was like the Lion King games and you got the Jungle Book and all that shit. We got the Disney Afternoon collection. Give me more of that shit. I'd be totally happy with more of those. Hell, re-release that old DuckTales game that came out on Xbox 360 arcade like like 1,000 years ago.
And
Yeah,
got delisted like a year or two ago.
yeah, like that'd be great. I mean, it would be cool if like Larian had shown off what mod support for Baldur's Gate 3 is going to look like officially in the next month or two. 'Cause I know,
Larian will do their own thing when they're good and ready.
which is fine with me because I'm looking forward to doing like my third playthrough of Baldur's Gate with mods. That'll be stupid
yeah,
fun.
As far as I know, the rumor has been that Baldur's Gate 4 is going to be handled by this team that Archetype that is doing the Exodus Mass Effect game. Like once that game is done, they have a team rolled up to do that. They also at Hasbro they have 3 studios now. They had 2. One is the studio that was like makes AA games, and they made the Dungeons and Dragons, was it the Dark Alliance remake or not remake, like reimagining that
Yeah.
people complained about because it was kind of borked, but it was also kind of borked because it was an early 2021 release during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't blame them that much, and they were a smaller team. And then the big team that they started at the same time was the team that's all the Mass Effect people. But they also they're hiring right now for a new studio that's making a AAA G.I. Joe game.
Ooh. Actually, when does that game from that Canadian studio come out?
We
Does
have
come out
no
really soon?
idea.
No idea. Sometime in the fall. I suspect that's going to be shown at a Nintendo Direct.
See, that'll be cool.
Be a Nintendo thing.
That'll be Shadow Drop too. I would almost assure of it.
Yeah, because the demo, I played the demo, and it's good. But the demo's not available anymore, I don't think, on Steam. It was one of those like only available for a week things.
Yep.
And has that Power Rangers game, Rita's Rewind, has that been dated? Okay. And
Toxic is supposed to be coming out as well.
They say, yeah, what about Toxic too?
So there's like 3 or 4 of those beat 'em ups that are coming out soon that they could all sort of show up at a Nintendo Direct at some point if they do like a partner direct or an indie direct.
I mean, again, I didn't get what I wanted for Christmas from Gamescom, and that was Marvel, but that's okay. I saw it during my Nintendo Direct, and you could hear the screams of joy from Kitchener, I'm sure.
Let's just say this very quickly before we close out the show. What was interesting was what was not shown at Gamescom or at Jeff Fest earlier in the summer. And one, we did not see anything new from the Captain America game.
I think there's
the Blade game too.
Was there stuff at Gamescom? The Blade game's like a year or two out anyway.
But there was nothing really, like we were expecting gameplay finally from the Captain America game, and there's been nothing, no gameplay at all. There's been like a tease of like the title. There's been a couple pieces of art, and that's it. So there's been nothing from them. We knew that Sony wasn't going to be there. So like Sony has nothing from their major studios outside of the family-friendly games this fall. So we've got nothing from any of the studios outside of the teams, Team Asobi and Gorilla, I guess, that's making the Lego game. So we've got nothing from them. Microsoft, we saw a bunch of stuff, but their stuff's still like a year or two out for a lot of their stuff. They had all the cool stuff earlier in the summer. Nintendo has been
Yeah.
it's all AA stuff. You can argue, oh, Zelda. No, that's not a AAA game. The Zelda game coming out. That's
Yeah,
a
no.
AA game.
Yeah.
They've got all their
That's-
AAA stuff is being set for whenever they announce their new console.
Yeah.
And then beyond them, some of the larger titles that we've been hoping for, like nothing from Wolverine, which I know it's Sony, but like we've seen nothing in 2 years, at least.
Well, it was early dev because they were still working on Spider-Man.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll accept that, but that Captain America game is surprising that there's nothing. There was nothing from that Exodus game. There was nothing from whom else? I was surprised that we got a trailer for or got something for Arc Raiders, but it wasn't really much. It was a nothing burger. There's a few big titles.
Yeah.
I did get an email from Microsoft regarding Starfield. They dated the expansion for the end of next month.
And they added a dune buggy so you can go around the empty vacant worlds
a little bit faster.
Yeah.
And you still have to attach it to your goddamn ship.
Yeah. One thing that we missed talking about opening night live, Marvel Rivals set a date. I think it's the same week as Indiana Jones, and they announced all the characters will be free.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Concord's got some problems.
Overwatch is dead. Bye.
Oh, and as far as like Warner Brothers games, the only thing they showed was the Arkham VR, which great, but you have to have a MetaQuest 3.
Yeah, no, man, I'm good.
You have to have the 3.
Can't work with 2, which is what I have that I haven't turned on in 6 months or a year, and you can't have the PSVR, you can't have the Index. It's only MetaQuest 3.
You know what?
I'm
just gonna say, VR's dead. Who cares?
VR is dead. Well, VR is dead because they just MetaQuest just fired everybody that worked for Ready at Dawn, which was the studio that made The Order 1886, and then they ended up making the best high budget games. No, for Meta, they made the best. They made the best
VR games that were as close as Valve's
Half-Life Alyx.
Half-Life Alyx, yeah.
And like best devs in the business, and they just fired everybody because if they weren't working on the metaverse app, you're not making money for them, so they're not like it's dead. Like VR is real. Like they've slashed. It's $100 cheaper now to get the PSVR 2. Nobody's buying it. They're giving away the games.
Fucking chance.
They're giving away games on PS Plus. People aren't redeeming them because they have no plans to purchase the hardware. They're not even redeeming the free games.
And they won't even give us a copy of the fucking hardware so we could potentially help them push the shit. They're like,
it's just not selling. The Portal, which is the tablet with the controller attached, is selling like a 3-to-1 ratio.
That's insane.
So like it's unfortunate. Like I have, the Quest, and all I end up doing is every like 2 months they send me like, here's $15 because they're desperate to get people in. And all I do is I log into my account, I pick out whatever songs I find interesting on Beat Saber and activate them, and then every 6 months I turn the system on and charge it. Like, as cool as it was, it's such a gimmick. We are about 15 years away from VR being worth it.
Viability.
We're so far away that it's not worth it. Anybody in VR that loves it and is a big champion of it, and you can like it all you want. 99% of people have no interest in it. And
I've seen one good app for it.
And there's
VR
other
poker.
People,
that's it.
And I have played stuff that it's genuinely fun. The problem is you have to either get prescription lenses like I have had for it, where you pop them in if you need glasses. But the other thing is you get there's not a single person that doesn't get headaches. You will. You cannot do, like, I know I go to the extreme where I'm like a 12-hour gaming session, but you can't do more than an hour or two at a time without feeling ill. It's like almost nobody. It's also a form of entertainment that you're entirely dependent on not having somebody walk up and talk to you, or like if somebody taps you on the shoulder, you'll scream because you're immersed. Like, it is a very, like, you have to be very safe when you're playing VR.
Yeah.
And there's that aspect that's odd. There's the expenses, the fact that everything looks like N64 graphics for the most part. Like it was way too soon to launch. Meta is dumped too much money into it. They're trying to hook like Gen Z and Alpha into it, and they're just not getting into it. So VR is basically like Sony is supporting VR right now because they need to for their shareholders, because it'll look bad if they cancel it. But what game has been announced since Horizon for the platform that is a Sony exclusive? And the answer is nothing.
Yeah, but say there's that Alien game that looks cool, but I'm never going to play it.
It's also not an exclusive.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't care.
Yeah. So, I mean, opening it up to work on PC is great, where you'll be able to hook up your stuff. That's cool, but it's such a niche market. It's like the Virtual Boy, right? So that's a tangent for another time,
also,
but like,
yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. The long story short, some okay stuff here. C+, future of gaming looks interesting. We'll have to do a podcast at some point where we sort of highlight what we think is going to be great coming out in the fall. We'll do that soon.
We might have something on Star Wars Outlaws. We're just waiting to find out whether we got review codes for that.
Yeah, and there's other big stuff coming in the fall as well. There's some Nintendo stuff. There's Call of Duty. There's some other RPGs, and there's other titles coming in like October, November, December that we'll talk about. And then there's obviously like, where do we think things are going? Things are kind of in limbo for us. Like we were hoping to have a discussion at this point on this show, which we're not going to do because it hasn't happened. Of like, we thought that there was going to be a new Nintendo announcement out. We thought the PS5 Pro was going to be announced by now. When those things get announced, we'll pop in and do like a State of Gaming update. But that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know me, Alex, and Ken, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Finally, I did beat that in the last week or two. I got some thoughts. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're back into full production, which means our first regular Twig news show of the year is probably either going to be on, well, we're not doing it on the 2nd because fuck off. We will be back on
basically after Labor Day.
After Labor Day. So on September 9th, we are fully back with our regular topic show. And you'll still have lots of loose cannons. I'm recording a bunch of those with David Denoyer from Do You Even Movie. We have our annual Halloween special we'll be recording with Enrique, Alex, and James Rolfe. We're going to be recording that fairly soon. And me and Ken will probably do some more loose cannons. I know me and JT, I got a couple things lined up for Sunday Funny. It's just life got in the way this summer, and it feels nice to be back on the internet, more or less, and things will be quiet, and I'm looking forward to it. Knock on wood. So I guess without any further ado, it is time for us to get out of here, enjoy what's left of the summer vacation. So we'll be back on the prototype next week. Alex will be back with a review show at some point next week. And I'm sure you might hear a loose cannon and Earth versus Soup between now and then. So for the prototype from the great city of Kitchener, we have been
Alex, the producer.
From the Garden State,
Ken from This Anime.
From the humble city of Guelph, Ontario, Canada, I've been Mike the Birdman saying we'll catch you next time right here on ThisWeekInGeek.net.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at ThisWeekInGeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.